So all the official things are done. Letting everyone into the room. Oh, there's one more. Okay. And we take off. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being present here with me in this class, in the One Consciousness Part 2 class. And in the meantime, still people are coming in, so I will press on the buttons sometimes. And I try to stay focused here, just like you. So this class is the One Consciousness class. The principle is this. We use a chapter from the Acropolis books that was freely given to us, and we use it as a means to study and to discover the gems that are hidden in the text and in the what is actually being offered as an total gift of Joel. And so yeah, to give that away is another gift, and to receive that is another gift to yourself. So this is how the universe works. It's all based on giving, on extending yourself, on receiving, which is also giving. And so this chapter today that we use is the Towards the Experience, and it's from the books Beyond Words and Thoughts by Joel S. Goldsmith. And it was a collection made from talks that he did, and you can check it out in the chapter where the words are taken from. And it's a nice way to scroll through the transcripts and yeah, say collect these parts. But the main thing is that where it's all about, and this chapter is pointing to that pretty direct, and that is towards the experience. And it always seems to be about the experience, or it has to do with the experience, an inner experience of who you really are, and in direct communication with every aspect of creation. So in the talks that we did before, in the classes that we passed through these last couple of weeks, you see the same theme coming up all the time, and we practice it by meditation, and we practice it by doing our little exercises. But see, is there actually a method to it, to receive the gift of God, to receive the experience of direct communication? Well, not really. There's not really a method to do it. But Joel brings us to certain places that we have to take a look at. And so I have to let some people in again. There you go. So, yep. So it's always connected to the experience. That's why we are here. That's actually why we meet. And the direct experience doesn't necessarily, is not like hard to get there. It is just that basically the direct communication is taking place somewhere in you, like your heart and your soul know all about it. And your mind is just a bit distracted. So there's one thing that you have to discover, and that is, how does this mind work? How can I still it? How can I become quiet? How can I become receptive? And all these things are presented in different ways by different paths. But the main thing is that you will come into God realization because you were created by God. So this is not, in that sense, it's no rocket science, as I always say. It's like, it's not rocket science you were created by God. So a direct experience with your creator would be the only natural thing available for you. So that means that looking at what distracts you from having this experience is something that's actually not real, has no real cause. But you think it has causes, and you think it has an effect too, because look at the world around you. You see everything reflected there, all the ideas that you can hold about imperfection and separation and anger, fear, anxiety, sickness, death, disaster, you name it. It's like all the whole cocktail that you are being served every day on your news channel. So in that, so apparently there seems to be something going on that you give value, and that's why you see it, and that's why you keep repeating it. And so it is on and on that we take time, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, to just relax and come into a different experience of ourselves. And we notice, like I noticed, that it's very nice to become quiet and to sit still. When I get myself this far to do it, it is really great. And so I can feel resistance to do it. But that's, yeah, it's not going to be helpful for me to have a continuously like a human experience of myself. No, thank you. I don't want that any longer. So now I come into the practice of doing every hour, a couple of minutes, or a couple of times a day, or all these practices that we are familiar with, and just to come into the realization, like, oh yeah, wait a minute, no, it's not this, it is not this, it is not this, oh no, it's not this. Basically that's the only conclusion that you can have, because the cause of what you see, like the effects that you're actually perceiving, have no cause at all. So they have no cause, and they cannot have effects either. So that's the weird thing about a dream, isn't it? It is like it can become such a nightmare if you really dive into it and make it real for yourself and others. It's like then it becomes such a nightmare so quickly and so easily. And then to stand still and let it all collapse again into your true nature, that doesn't need anything but only the recognition that it is, and it is the only thing that is. Then it becomes also quiet and still, and so beautifully supported by light and love. And so this experience is exactly what we're talking about, the experience of becoming still, relaxing deeply into ourselves, so that what is can manifest itself in this present moment, in this day, in this, literally in this time that we are together. And the time that you practice by yourself, that you take it serious, like you go sit down or you go dance, and remember who you really are. But you come into the like in direct communication with what is. So the undoing, like the not doing this and that, like valuing what has no value, or perceiving something that's not really there, or identifying with something that has nothing to do with your real identity, is something that needs to be unlearned. And this unlearning takes place by you being open for a different experience, for one thing. So the moments that you ask for a different experience of yourself, you basically also decide to give up holding on to your own ideas, and let your mind be still, become still. So all these little facets of what I'm actually saying now, all these little parts of the whole story, is given in this chapter towards the experience. And Joel says it in his way, in a very lovely way. And so also this time I've come up with some questions, and I will read them to you right now. And so at the end of the class, that's another thing. At the end of the class, we will have another meditation also for this God realization. So, okay, so here are the questions. What is the heart and soul of the mystical life? What is the prerequisite for taking steps on the goal to God realization? What is the first principle of the infinite way? Can you reach God through your mind? And the last question is like, can you stop thinking? So these are just some questions that came up. And see, the questions that come up have the only function is then to literally help you to read what this chapter says, what Joel is actually expressing. So that's why I use the questions just as a little bit of as a tool to unlock what's in the chapter. Okay, and in the meantime, we're not going anywhere. We're not trying to achieve a goal. No, we are actually busy relaxing and letting God affect us, like letting the words affect us and coming into the realization of what already is. So that doesn't take any effort on our part. And that seems to be a very hard thing for a human being to not do something. So that is that's why this is actually really simple. It's the most natural thing that can happen to you, and at the same time to say slow down your human mind and perceive it where it actually is operating, and seeing that you don't have to engage in it at all is what we practice here. And it takes some time to for you to use that frequently, and to use that in a way that it's really helpful to you. So here we are. Maybe just be quiet for a moment, maybe close your eyes, and just to do a little like self-check from, okay, where am I? What am I thinking? What is going on within me? Am I actually just listening to what's being shared, or is it really that I'm focused on something to hear something that can be helpful? Or can I allow myself to sit back and relax and let this affect me in the way it will affect me, not by any effort on my part? So check it out. So can you see where you are actually thinking, where the thinking takes place, and where the thoughts are being produced? Can you see that inside of you right now? Okay, so that's one thing. Um, Seeing that you don't have to engage with these thoughts is an incredible discovery in going towards the experience. Like, you don't have to do anything with these thoughts. They seem to be connected to your identity and to your sustenance, but they actually are not. Far from it, actually. Okay, so we get ready now for the first question. What is the heart and soul of the mystical life? See, the heart and soul of the mystical life, Joel says this in the first paragraph that I copied into my little document. And that is like going towards the experience is an experience not being focused on the outside, but on the inside. So the experience of what is going on within is where this is all about. It is not being focused on something outside yourself. No, it is happening in you. And you can easily get in touch with it if you let go of your occupations with your thoughts, with your identification and all of that. So the inner experience is something that you get to by seeing what is actually going on in your human life, and seeing that you don't want that any longer, that you're ready for something else, for a different experience of yourself. And that can be temporarily, it can be constantly, it can be coming up like at certain moments in your life that you experience more of an intensity in feelings or thoughts that you literally become crazy about what you're thinking, or are so much in fear that you don't know what to do with yourself. Then you have a great opportunity to come into a different experience of yourself, just because you decide with great certainty, like, I don't want this any longer. But the same you can do just on a regular day, so to speak. It doesn't need to be intense or extreme or anything like that. No, you can, just by seeing what is going on and recognizing that that cannot be the truth, it can be a great motivation to share these, or to come to the determination, like, oh no, I don't want this any longer. um, this is not what truth is, and I want to know what is true. I want to find out what is true. So, and Joel talks in the book too about his experiences, what happened before he came to this experience. And it's the same with you. So, what happened to you before you got to this experience? Like, what happened to you before you decided, like, I've enough of this. I cannot do this any longer. It has to stop right here. I want a different experience of myself because I know this cannot be true. So, and then, okay, what is the heart and soul of the mystical life? That sounds really beautiful, doesn't it? The heart and soul of the mystical life. As if there's a life that is like a mystical life. Yeah, you have no idea what it is, but it sounds really good. It sounds a bit vague, but it's also very interesting. And so Joel uses this a lot in his talks, and I love to read it. Like, I love the words that are being used, and at the same time, I also see, like, yeah, it is still about letting go of your human experience and starting to go within to look for the, let's say, basically for your own holiness. So that's also part of this mystical life, the inner experience of your holiness. Wow. See, that really resonates, doesn't it? The word holiness. It's amazing how that, what that does. Like, this is about your holiness and the recognition of your true nature. Your true nature is holiness, wholeness, holiness. No separate parts, no deviation, no separation, none of that. It's like wholeness. It's a whole idea. It's part of your wholeness, of your oneness, of your one consciousness. So the heart and soul of your wholeness, of your mystical life, see, that is a whole different world. That is a whole different thing that you're entering into. And maybe you can open yourself up even more now to become receptive, or to see that, oh my God, it's actually, I see some light entering into my mind in this present moment. It is happening now to me. Look at that. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And maybe you want to breathe it in, or you, ah, yeah, exactly. So don't forget to breathe. And it's literally like a natural way to inhale this, literally to be inspired, as an inspiration. See, that happens in a certain light. In your mystical life, there's light and there's love. But the light is so close to you, you can literally breathe it in, like you're accustomed to breathing air in. Okay, so now I'm going back to the second question. What is the prerequisite for taking steps on the goal towards God realization? What is the prerequisite for taking steps? Let me see what Joel says. Ah. In spite of how successful you may be in human achievement, you will never attain spiritual awareness. That comes only when you have died to caring about the outer scene and are willing to take life as it is and work from within towards the goal of God realization. So that comes only when you have died into caring about the outer scene and are willing to take life as it is and work from within toward the goal of God's realization. So he says here, he uses literally the word died from caring about the outer scene. See, and that is in our path, like that's a crucial step, but also maybe the most difficult step in all of this, to stop caring about it, like not distinguishing anymore between good and bad, and like healthy and sick, and black and white, and yeah, all these dualistic ideas. And not caring about them anymore is also not valuing them anymore, but saying to yourself, like, okay, I want to be still and go home. I don't want to hang out here any longer, or I don't want to say put my energy into that anymore. For now, in this moment that I come to God, I'm going to relax my attention from that. And not that I'm ignoring it, not that I'm like suppressing something. It is more like, no, I just leave that for what it is for now. So I make room for a different experience of myself. I stop caring for a moment about what appears to be happening in my life, in my newspaper, in my family life, in my financial life, in my social life. So, and then there's silence again. Then you enter into your stillness. Then you stop from being active in trying to improve this or that. See, and while I'm saying that, you can actually practice that, because these are all steps towards the experience. See, and in the end of this class, we will come to the place where we start to meditate and really enter deeply into the stillness, and having some extra support in presence, so that's so great. So see, this is really a preparation for meditation, basically. Okay, so the next question: what is the first principle of the infinite way? Jill will talk so much about principles, and now what is the first principle? Okay, so I'm going to read this to you. The first principle of the infinite way, therefore, is to know the nature of God, and that must be followed by an understanding of the nature of error and the nature of prayer. If you study the infinite way class that I've ever been giving, you will discover that not in any one of them I have ever omitted teaching the nature of God, the nature of error, and the nature of prayer. Because with this for a foundation, the experience is not difficult to attain. So now the first principle that Joel uses, and I'll read it, is to know the nature of God, the nature of prayer, and the nature of error. See, and to know the nature of prayer or the nature of error is knowing. It's like if you know, it is not that you cannot ignore it anymore. That you know, it literally opens your eyes. And that comes with responsibility. Like you don't want to doze off into a dream again. If you recognize what is the true nature of error, you discovered what the true nature of error is. Like something without a cause cannot have an effect. So if these thoughts are just bubbling up in my mind and I can see them disappear and they will come back or they won't come back, like if I see that as a serious source for my daily life, then I basically live without a cause. So what can I expect from the effects to come to me? So that the knowing of the nature of error means then also that you actually look right through the error, like the little mistake of thinking that something causeless can have an effect. See, and this world that you see is an example of that. This world that you see is an expression of that. These are appearances that literally come to you, reflecting your own ideas about what you value and what you take serious as something that really happens. Like otherwise, it could not be there. And that's knowing the nature of error means then also you look right through it. You actually recognize that it has no cause, so it cannot have an effect. And with that, it disappears. And to a certain degree, we do that. And sometimes something we take really serious, and then you just lose it for a moment. And that is okay. That's it's nothing wrong with that. It's like, no, we're on the path towards the experience. It is not about perfect spiritual behavior. It's not about perfect spiritual attainment. This is going to be given to you. So the little say the little mirages that you see and take serious, you just have to forgive yourself that you do that is happening to you, and let it go instead of fighting it or trying to hurt yourself about it. There's no need for that at all. So that is so beautiful about this path. It's like it's just a matter of letting go. We're all beginners. You always start at point one. You have to let go of ideas. You have to be fed up with your own ideas and not like trying to nourish them anymore. See, that is about the nature of error. So the nature of prayer, of true prayer, is then too. If you once know what that is, that means that you cannot pray in another way anymore. You cannot fool yourself anymore, because literally your Holy Spirit is sitting right next to you in that, and you actually are being, say, corrected if you want, immediately, because you literally hear yourself say it when you pray in a way that is actually not the way it should be. If you really ask for something or ask this or ask that, and it's not forbidden to ask a question or anything like that. It's more like, no, the true nature of prayer is then to be still, and Joel says, let God do the praying. So it's all about achieving a direct communication, more than that you exchange with God or make a bargain or something like that. And then the true nature of God is not explainable. It is a knowing. So in you having that experience of communication, you come to know the nature of God. So Angel says, all my talks that I ever did always have these three embedded in it, whether talked about directly or coming from the experience, or this is like the main theme. It's the first principle of the infinite way. See, but it has a lot of consequences if you really know them. It has consequences, and you be happy to use that, not as a law in terms of, okay, now if I make a mistake, then I'm punished. No, not at all. So it's a law of love. It's a law of extension. It's a law of using, like you use it, and it saves you a lot of things that you don't have to do. Okay. Oh, yeah. Can you reach God through your mind? So, can you reach God through your mind? We actually already had an answer to that. Like, no, God cannot reach through your human mind, because otherwise you would have done it. It is not working, and we tried it long enough by praying in the old-fashioned way, so to speak, or by hurting ourselves to come into a deeper experience of connectedness with God, or taking charge. That God doesn't have to punish us, but we'll do that ourselves. That was in religion like a long tradition. So now you enter into the place where you don't have to make any sacrifices whatsoever, and everything that is true is freely given to you without any effort. So that's such a controversial idea to a human mind that that is like, yeah, it takes a moment for you to accept that, because you're so used to the opposite, that you have to struggle, to strive, and to work hard, and to do this and do that, and feel guilty and pay for it, and do this, and you name it, all the sacrifices that we have made in the past, to think that we can become closer to God by paying for it, using human ways to come closer to God. So it didn't work. So the mind cannot be used. The human mind cannot be used to directly communicate with God. Now it's more that we have to discover how this human mind works, and to see it operate by itself, and see, like I said before, that it is causeless. So whatever it produces, it can have no effects. In your dreams it can, and it looks very real, but not in reality. So nothing changed. Like God's loving you in this instant completely and wholly, completely and wholly. Like no limitation on any point. He knows his creation. He knows what he creates. Okay, quickly to the next question. Okay, so can you stop thinking? And I use this just also as an introduction to the meditation. Can you stop thinking? No, you actually can't. But so you don't need to stop thinking. It is just like discovering that this chatter mind of yours, like your chatter mind in your mind, is chatterbox, is rattling all day long, and it has suggestions, ideas, comparisons, points in different directions. It doesn't matter if it's it has integrity or not. It really doesn't matter, all these things. It's just one thought after the other. It comes with solutions to like 20 solutions to one problem, pointing all in different directions, and all of that too. So it's pretty useless, basically, for a harmonious, still life. You don't need it for that. So to identify with it is very easy. We've done it. We've done it all. Like now, it's the time to see it for what it is, and see that it is a chatterbox that you don't need to engage with, and not identify with. So then you bring it back to the idea of, okay, I can let it go. I don't need to do anything with it. During my meditation, I just let it chatter as it wants. I'm not paying any attention to it. I'm just seeing that it does, like a little fountain of thoughts, and I'm just leaving that for what it is. So the great thing is that you can directly experience that in this little meditation that we're going to do, and so in the meditation I will use two sentences, and they all have the start word, and that is relax. So it's like relax, 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 relax. And so I will start doing that. And I would say just relax and let this come to you, and let God come to you. You don't need to do anything. Yeah, let this be manifested inside of you. That's where it's been found. So thank you so much. And let's start the meditation. Relax and let God reach you. Relax and let God reach you. Relax and let God read you. Relax and rest and be a beholder of what God will is. Relax and rest and be a beholder of what God's will is. Relax and rest and be a beholder of God's will. Relax and rest and be a beholder of what God's will is. Okay, thank you so much. So